Just ahead is the beginning of what was once the ultimate stroll. And there it is, a scene of devastation.
Had a healing feeling before, and that's gone now.
No, that's not a stream bed, it's the lane, reshaped by the neighbour and full of water after heavy rain. Locals would need a kayak to go for a stroll in there. So why don't walkers frequent a different recreational area? Simple, there isn't one, and the main road is a death trap. With literally nowhere to go, the whole street took the dispute to the council, only to find out they'd been usurped by timing and a piece of paper.
It was all a surprise to us. The council staff told us that he had acquired a licence to occupy. That was a shock to us that he could come along and for something like $120 have a licence to occupy for as long as he likes.
The thing is, he knew the residents used it. He's known all these years that we used it, and then he just didn't care after that. He doesn't give a shit about us, the council don't give a shit about us. We were nothing, we were invisible as far as that they were concerned.
Backed into a corner, the community went next level with a petition signed by 60-odd people. Like most referendums, it was roundly ignored, so the locals went full nuclear and organised a good old-fashioned protest down at the entrance to the lane.
So we decided to have a protest and we did these signs. My one reads, "Give the people back their walking track." It's pretty self-explanatory, really. That's what we wanted, our track back.
An expected media contingent failed to turn up. Undeterred, Richard, Cherry and others simply placed their signs on the road frontage for publicity. The council ordered them taken down.
We just want to let them know that we're upset. I said, the problem is no one's listening to us. And we're not saying that he's stopping the access of that at all. We're not saying that. We know we have the access. But what he did was he defaced it. He defaced the road. He took changed the wairua of it.
The what?
The wairua.
Wairua quite literally translates as the vibe. And to quote Boston, it's more than a feeling.
Had a healing feeling before, because a lot of people used it when they were ill. Myself, when I was ill, I used it as a recreational area, but also to heal. It wasn't flash, you know, it wasn't structurally planted or anything, but it had a healing feeling about it. And that's gone now. But it's like someone going over to you, ripping your heart out of your chest and then replacing it with something that's not as good.
Effectively, the joker up the road has ripped Cherry's heart out, replaced it with a bike pump, and left the entire community poetically gutted. It cannot be forgotten that one man's wairua is another man's wealth. Richard accuses the neighbour of double-crossing the council in order to make a few bob off the moo cows.
His intention was to graze his stock there. In total area, there's probably 2.5 hectares there, or 4 or 5 acres. But his excuse was that he was going to keep it clean and tidy and all nice looking, which is very odd because we liked it just how it was.
We've put it off long enough. Let's take the long walk of shame on the neighbour down to the end of the road.
Okay, well, we might as well just walk down here and have a look. So let's go.
Note the gummies. For the record, Cherry and Richard are as rural as a root in the Raupo. Just ahead is the beginning of what was once the ultimate stroll. And there it is, a scene of devastation.
So first of all, this is the lane. This is what we've been talking about. And this is where we walk every day. Okay, as you can see, that it's flat. And but before this happened, it used to be a lane down the centre, a walkway down the centre, and on either side were 2 banks. And it was safe. It was safe for our dogs and safe for our kids. But now it's not. Well, the difference is that it's a lot easier to fall into the drains, which isn't running water, it's stagnant water, it's filthy. And my dogs have fallen in twice, and it's really hard to get them out. It's a steep drop, and it's really muddy at the bottom. So it's if you fall in, if a child falls in, or if a dog falls in and you're not there, see ya. Well, the possibility would be of a child drowning.
But wait, there's more. Here at a culvert, the neighbour has installed a retaining wall of old tyres that can potentially leach potentially deadly rubber toxins into the waterway. And here, evidence of the neighbour's cows going to the lavatory spontaneously without reservation, adding to the desecration. If that's not enough, electric fencing is also used on occasion, forcing walkers to either go home or risk taking a dozen volts up the cleft.
I mean, anyone that doesn't know this lane would look at it and say, well, it's okay, it looks all good. But it's got a different wairua now. It's got a different feeling to what it had before. It's just flat, you know, whereas before it had toi, it had the big banks on the side, we had the wildlife coming through, the pūkeko coming through, walking down the track. It had a different wairua, and that wairua's now gone. So that's the difference between this lane and the old lane. And what we want to do as a community is that we want to take control of this part of the public road, our lane, and plant it out and create the wairua again. It might not be the same, but we can still create that bush feeling like we had before. Because one of the residents said that he wanted the wilderness back, and the wilderness is gone.
This section of the lane has a bit of wairua left, but it's nothing like before. A simple bench is all that's left to remind Cherry and Richard of the good times. In the entire 25 minutes we filmed on the lane, only one walker was observed.
Yeah, my message would be to install your mana. Just give us back our lane. That's all you have to do. You will create more mana for yourself if you just handed back that licence. Simple as that. More respect.
The neighbour did not want to appear on camera and considered his mana to be fully intact.